What's up? What's up? Welcome in. Come on in. All right. So this is exciting. This is good stuff today with the way technology and everything's been moving. There's so much going on that I can't wait to share with you. But we're going to give probably, 90 seconds for people who are running late. You know, the Zoom Teams meetings that run over and then all of a sudden you got to go to the restroom or get a cup of coffee or something before you can actually jump into the next meeting. So we're going to give them a second. But while we're doing that, drop in the chat where you're from. Let me see if you're where you're from. I looked at some of the registrations, bunch of familiar faces that I'm super excited to see. You know, we've got friends from Florida and Georgia and New York, and I saw some people that I know from California and Montana and Texas. So very, very excited about this group that's decided to come in and check out what's going on. It's going to be a fantastic, I don't know, probably 35, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that, where we are going to talk about some really cool things to help move the needle when it comes to actually selling more stuff, regardless of kind of your industry. So got another minute or so waiting, just absolutely excited to see everybody. What industry are you in? Drop that in the chat. That would be awesome as well. You know, absolutely thrilled to death to be able to have this conversation with you all. Keep it going in the chat because that is certainly something that'll get other people to notice. And maybe we'll be able to customize some of today's talk around the things that matter to you. You know, I can tell you right now, the only goofy thing. Sometimes it takes 45 seconds to minutes to actually get your comments through to me. So if I'm running a little late or whatever, would certainly love, I'll be able to talk to you afterwards or something along those lines. So anyway, so it's great to see everybody. And you know what? It's been 2 minutes. Let's get started. For those of you who had an opportunity to get here and to get here on time, we appreciate you. But for what you don't know, the 14 seconds, I'm Ken Lundeen, the founder and president of RevHeat, and I'm ready to go. So we're going to have a really, really great time today, and we're going to go through and talk about some awesome stuff. But I'm going to start with a rather controversial statement. Oftentimes, you are told by your reps and you are told by people who are selling in your organization that you lost on price. We've had contracting companies that we've worked with. Regis, if you're out there, you probably know this, where we've had salespeople tell us, yes, price is the only thing that matters. And then we wait about 20 minutes and we say, hey, have you ever won a deal that you weren't the lowest price? And everybody goes, yes, I have. So let me tell you this. You didn't lose the sale on price. Your rep lost it 20 minutes earlier. But we just don't know. And it isn't because your reps are worse than somebody else's. Your reps have the same type of product, the same type of training, the same market, the same leads. If knowledge and experience were what made the difference, they'd all be producing the same number. But they're not close. So it isn't that. So in about 3 minutes, I'll tell you what it is in one sentence. And then I'm going to spend the rest of the hour proving it and show you what to do about it, step by step, whether or not you ever talk to me again. We're going to be, I don't know, I don't think it'll actually be an hour, probably like 35, 40 minutes because I really want to respect your time, give you a little bit of a calendar break. So close the other tabs. I mean it. I mean, at minute 20 or so, I'm going to show you the step no sales program has ever included, and it only lands if you're here for it. So we want you to be clear about that. So let's get going, right? So here's what you're going to walk out with. You'll know why more leads won't fix a sales growth problem and why the reasons you've been given weren't the actual reason. You'll have the 6 steps that change how a rep sells for you. They're in the replay email, which will be sent out after this, written out, and you can run every one of them yourself starting tomorrow. And you'll know why the calls your team is on right now are the most valuable thing in your company, that nobody's using what's in them, and now you will. And then the last few minutes, we'll take some questions, but type them in as they come, right? If for some reason we can't get to it or we run up, I'll still be able to answer those questions in the chat. And at the end of this, if you wanted to talk to me personally, I'll give you a way that you can absolutely do that as well. So Here's the whole hour in one sentence. Every decision that you make about your buyers is a guess, and the best guesser runs the team. It's a secret that I'm not supposed to tell anybody because I've gotten paid a lot of money over the years because I simply guess better than most about how to grow a team. And this actually, it's good news for you, right? It means the win rate isn't set by your leads. It isn't set by your reps. It's set by what your company does with what your buyers say on sales calls. And right now, it's probably nothing. Think about it. So who to go after, what to say to them, which rep gets the big account, what to build next. Every one of those is aimed at a buyer somebody described 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And the whole time, they're telling you the answer, right? Your buyers are telling you the answer every day on sales calls, what they're worried about, what they tried before you, what made them say no, what made them say yes. Your reps hear it. The call ends and it's gone by dinner. So the best guesser runs the team. And that's why selling is so damn hard. Not because your people aren't good, because the whole machine has been running without the actual key in it. Try this. Name the last thing a customer said to one of your reps that changed a decision you made, not a deal, a decision. It wasn't a price issue. It wasn't a contracting term. What's one of the last things that a customer said to one of your reps that changed a business decision that you made? If you only believe one thing today, believe that. Not because I said it, because I got it wrong for years first. Right? So let's talk about this. So real quick, Justin Eman runs a digital agency, and I want to give you some backdrop on where some of the success has come that has helped us form these opinions. So he tripled his win rate in 6 months. So the exact same reps, the same type of leads, the same market. And keep that next to the sentence I just said, and I'll show you what was different. Your reps aren't worse. Nobody's been listening and nobody's been checking. Everything I show you today is what listening and checking actually looks like. So let's talk. I just want to give you a little bit of kind of where all this came from for me. And when you start to look at this, I spent 4 years helping grow a company from $2 to $78 million called Premier Garage out of Phoenix, Arizona, from 2002 to 2006. And we were on the Inc. 500 fastest growing company list for 4 years. And so I knew how to grow revenue. So I bought my own company. 2011, bankrupt. I thought it was a training problem, so we trained harder. We thought it was a leads problem, so I bought more. Then I ran the same programs at 2 different companies in the same industry. One tripled its win rate in 6 months and had its most profitable year ever, and the other nodded and changed nothing. Same content, same trainer. I thought I knew everything about how to grow sales. But you get these very different outcomes. We had the same thing happen at a company that we trained that had 4 divisions. 2 of them exploded. 2 of them just shrugged it off. right? And so, I thought it was this kind of thing. I thought my people were the problem. I want to, let's just say the ugly part out loud, because I know some of you are in it right now. I thought my people were the problem. I looked at my team and I thought I hired wrong. 2 can do this, the rest can't. And I was wrong. And being wrong about that cost me more than bankruptcy did, because I kept replacing people instead of fixing the thing. Think about that. Have you ever replaced people instead of fixing the thing? Because that's a very interesting way to look at it. And that's what a lot of companies end up doing. Right? But I can tell you the day it flipped, right? I can tell you, you can't think of yourself as like, oh, I'm the best closer, I'm this, I'm what have you. But the day it flipped, I told my team what to do 100 times. But I'd never gone back once and checked. The next call, neither had the manager, neither had the trainer, nobody had. And I never once asked what the buyers on those calls were actually saying. And so this is the great thing about live, is that when you get one slide ahead. So I thought my people were the problem, but we never went back and checked what the buyer was saying. I had a picture of my customer in my head, and I was running the whole company based on it, but nobody had checked it in years. That was it. Not the material, not the people. Nobody was listening to the calls. Nobody was checking the next one against what had already happened. So here's what happened since I filed that bankruptcy, and here's what's happened since we've started to figure this out. And then some of the things I'm going to show you today are things that we've really figured out over the course of the last 18 months that you're going to get the benefit of today. Right? But since then, $1.5 billion in client sales, right? Exits of 800 million, 250 million, 30 million. Companies that we've worked with that have gone from unicorn status, which is privately held and worth $1 billion or more, and that's only one out of every 10,000 companies. And we've had 6 of them. But here's what it means for you. More reps won't get you out of this, and you don't buy your way out of it with leads. The team you already have can get better once somebody starts paying attention to the calls and checking the next one. And I'm not talking about call recorders. They just simply tell you what happened. Right? I spent years blaming the wrong thing when all the answers were right there in the conversations that my company was already having with its customers. Give me a yes in the chat if you've ever told a team exactly what to do and then never found out if they did it. Right? So let's talk about the 3 secrets that you've got to understand in order to really, really harness this. 1, more leads won't fix it. Everybody's first answer to sales growth is more and more leads, more reps, more training, and I did all 3. Right? And here's why none of them moved the number. Because it's not what you were told. Right? You didn't lose the sale on price. Your rep lost it 20 minutes earlier. I said that at the top. And here's why it's true. Price is where the loss gets announced. The deal was gone in discovery when the rep missed the thing that the buyer actually cared about. The electrical contractor said, my last supplier kept shorting the order. The plant manager who mentioned, once the board meets in October, the rep heard it and it didn't make it into the CRM. And nobody told you. Not because anyone hid it. Nobody's doing anything to be malicious, because the one person who was there was busy selling at the time. whether a deal is real, what the buyer actually wants, why they buy or don't, all of it reaches you secondhand from that person. And you only ever hear about a fraction of the calls. So you pour more money into the top of the funnel. And the same thing happens to them at minute 20, right? It continues to happen to them, right? And here's the part nobody talks about. Your sales manager coaches a rep on Monday. The only way they can find out if the rep used it is if the rep comes back around and tells them. And the reps come back when it worked. Nobody walks into the manager's office and says, I tried what you told me and I blew it. So your whole picture of your own coaching is built from self-reported good news. And as a company that does sales coaching and training, I can tell you this is absolutely true. That's not your manager's fault. It's arithmetic. Right? They can't be on every call. Every team has a sales playbook. Nobody checks if anyone's run it. It was written once, often by somebody who's left. Nothing has checked it against what buyers have said since. And everything downstream of it, your outreach, your quotes, who you hire, is aimed at the same 2, 3, or 5-year-old picture. Three questions. Answer them in your head, or if you're super brave, answer them in the chat. 1, who wrote your playbook? The funny part is most people, in order to find this, actually have to go to the file and then open it and then look at the attribution in the file name, right? We don't often author it, Ken Lundeen, sales playbook. How do you know which parts of it actually win? Better yet, do you know which parts of it? Are they making it to your team? And then ask your sales manager which reps ran what he told them last week and watch the room go quiet. So when I say more leads won't fix it, I'm not being cute. Remember the two companies, same program, same trainer, one tripled, one faded in the next quarter. The training was identical, so the training wasn't the difference. The one that tripled was Justin at Third and Grove, and that company knew where its deals were actually dying and worked on that. The other one was guessing. Losing is the only way your company learns anything right now. And it finds out after the money's been spent. And it's not your fault, and it's not your team's fault, and nobody gave you the step that comes after training. That's the next 12 minutes. Tell me in the chat, yes or no, have you watched a training program fade by the next quarter? Right? You knew that it was fading. There was no proof that it was actually going. Because there is data that says 77% of everything we learn is forgotten in 6 days. All right. Secret 2, why you don't need better reps. Right? And here's the deal. You don't need better reps because the 6 things that change how reps sell and why it feels impossible are next. You're going to get the 6 steps instead. The steps are the ones that you can run on Monday. So we're going to show you that entire process. So 3. Now we're going to show you the absolute enforcement loop, right? The enforcement loop itself. It means every call gets read, every rep gets coached, every coaching point gets checked on the next call, and everything that wins gets written back into a playbook. 6 steps every week, every call. Now, let's pause for a second. Because every sales trainer I know teaches the playbook. And not one of them has ever checked whether it happened on the next call. And that's the step. Here's what it looks like when you run it yourself. And one thing to hold on while I teach this is how you get the key, the listening. Everything else I'm going to show you is what you do with it. But I'm going to show you how it has to be done to be perfect. And you're going to see why it's a problem. So don't get overwhelmed, but stay with me for just a second. So one, if we want to improve our sales reps, if we want to improve our close rate and our growth trajectory, right? Step one is every call needs to get read. Not just the ones we had time for. Right? How a human does it is we start with 3 that we pulled. We listen to those recorded calls. We should be writing down what the buyer said, what the rep said in the moment that the call turned. But this is where you find where deals actually die. Not price, but the real moment. Right? But now think about it this way, the hour. Start counting how many calls your team does a week, because I'll ask you for the numbers in a minute, and you start to see where the arithmetic can get a little goofy. All right, second, tell each rep what to ask on the next call. Coaching, right? Word for word. This is the opening, right? How a human would do this is after each call, you write the rep one specific next move, not be more curious, right? You can get that in ChatGPT, and that's not going to do you any good. But the question written out with context of your company and your buyer, what it does to win rates is this is what changes the next call. One move, not a course. Because what we're too busy trying to do is we're trying to push people into courses that we never do anything on the back end to check. But what we'd rather do is do one move that allows the deal to get better because the prospect feels heard and because you're filling in the overall picture on why they might buy. And then the time, probably 10 minutes a call to write a really good one. Third step. Here's part of the problem. You'd have to remember exactly what you told each of them. Right? You'd have to log per rep what you said and when. And without this, step 4 is going to be impossible. You can do it. It won't take a lot of time, but you can never skip it. Right? Step 4. Then you have to watch the next call to see if they did it. Right? The one thing nobody wants to talk about on how we improve sales and how we improve the market is nobody wants to talk about the fact that this is all about change management. This is all behavior change that we're doing. So you got to watch the next call, see if they did it. You'd have to listen to the rep's next call with the log open. Did they run the play you asked them to run? This is the step no program includes. Every trainer teaches the play. Go coach them. This is how you coach as a manager. These are the way we handle objections. This is how you should do an agenda. But we missed this. Right? With no extra listen, next week's call is just next week's step 1. You just listen with the log open. This is the one I told you to stay for because every trainer teaches the play, but none of them have checked the call because the real work comes in trying to hold things together. Heck, right now, I will bet most of the coaching calls that are happening in sales organizations across the world are actually just pipeline reviews. And that's information. Coaching gives them knowledge. All right, so here we go. So step 5, we got to catch the slip. You have to catch the slip and fix it before it becomes a habit. How many times have you not been on a call with a rep in, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, and you get on the call and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize Johnny was still doing that. Right? So we got to catch the slip in the same day, not at the Friday pipeline review. Ask why, teach it again, set it again. A miss you catch this week is a simple note. A miss nobody catches becomes how they sell. Minutes if you catch it. Weeks and months of time if you miss it. All right, so step 6. The biggest miss in go-to-market strategy among companies this world has, and I'm going to say this broadly that I can say this across most companies in the world, is this. We all say we want voice of customer. We all actually have voice of customer, have had for a number of years. And what barely any companies do is capture what I'm doing you through this 5 steps above it, and then take that to create a sharper playbook. To update the playbook so that it can be run. So the call coaching gets sharper. To take the calls and update them across how you prospect and outreach and do all your other things. Right? But we have to roll it in a sharper playbook. Once a month. What moves actually won? Write them in. Retire what didn't. This is the compounding playbook that gets written by your buyers instead of by a guess. It's amazing because the data is there. All right, so 6 steps as a ring, right? Nothing new. That's the enforcement loop. If you really want to triple your actual close rates, your win rates, without more leads, without more customers. And quite frankly, I've got to tell you, it's the most cost-effective way to do it. Because there's a risk in hiring. All right, let's do the math on your team real quick. So let's say there are X number of calls. Take the call plus 10 minutes for the actual ability to write it. So if they're half number of calls, call plus 10 minutes. So 60 minutes plus 10, 30 plus 10. How many happen in a week? Right? Multiply that by the time. Now you know why this 6-step process isn't taught and doesn't work. Or let's put it this way, it works. But here's the reason why it's not taught and why nobody hires to fill it. Because that's an entire hire doing nothing but that. Right? And when you hired your sales manager, you got other things they need to do. They need to look at dashboards and they need to provide reporting and maybe carry a bag. Right? So do the math. Put your number in the chat. How many do they make in a week? Not meetings, calls with a buyer on them, phone, Zoom, the truck, the customer's lot, all of it. Every one of those gets listened to start to finish. A 30-minute call takes 30 minutes. The 10 minutes to write the rep, their next move. And next week, the same again with last week's note open so you can see if they ran it. Say it's 40 calls. That's 20 hours of listening and 7 of writing every week for the rest of time. It's not a task. It's a hire. So examples of when you do this right. So we had a personal, this is where some of this stuff was formed, right? So I first met Rodrigo when he was actually on a PIP plan, which performance improvement plan for those who haven't here, that's a I'm going to fire you plan, but we're just going to call it something nice so that we can feel better about ourselves. And then Rodrigo because we leaned into this coaching. We coached almost every single call that he did. We checked to see whether or not he ran it. We did it with an open book every single week. Right? But this is what we did. And Rodrigo went from zero sales to 4 million the next year, 8 million the next year, and 22 the next. He sold consulting services and technology. So yes, those numbers can skew. But how would you feel if somebody went from 0 to 1 million and then doubled from 1 million to 2 and then tripled to 6 million? Right? You might be thinking, the other half of what's in your head is that your people aren't good enough. Rodrigo shows you that you don't have to be great. So hold on to my people aren't good enough loosely. Could you do these 6 steps? Yes or no in the chat. Be honest. All right. Secret 3. Why nobody could be on every call until now. And here's the big difference. You've seen a lot of the history that we've set up on what it really takes to remove all the friction and actually improve the performance of a team. Right? And why nobody could do it till now, and why that's the only thing that was stopping you. Most people said yes to the previous question. I could, and no, I won't. If that's you, good. I could say who it was, whatever. But that's the honest answer, and it's the whole reason this has been so hard. Take your number from the chat. That's the hire. That's the part you could see. Here's the part you couldn't. Right? So you made the hire. Say every call got read. Now somebody has to turn what they heard into next month's outreach, into the quote template, into the new reps first weeks, into which accounts you chase in Q4. That's not a hire. That's a second job on top of the hire. And it's the one that moves the number. So nobody on your team has it, not because they're lazy, because it didn't exist. So some of you record every call already, and good, keep it. But here's the question to ask. Ask your recorder whether your rep did the thing you told them last week, because it can't answer. It has the call, but it never had the instruction. Nobody loses a deal on one call. They lose it between 2. A recorder scores the call, but nobody's scoring the deal. So 3 years ago, even getting a transcript of 40 calls was a hire. Today, the transcript is free. Any recorder hands you one. And so does the AI in your phone. What nobody built is the rest. Well, tell the rep the next move, write it down, check the next call, put what wins back into the playbook and into words you sell with. The reading is the cheap part. The checking is the product. And the feeding what you do with what you heard is the part that was never possible at all. So Brad Garber is the CEO of Hidden Level, hardware and software. His words, 95% of our pipeline wasn't real. Think about what that means for every decision he made, who to chase, who to hire, and what to build. Today, he calls his pipeline qualified and predictable. The other things that you'll hear a little bit of is like, my reps will push back. Your reps get one sentence before their next call. That's all they do. The coaching lands after the call, never in the middle of it. The market moves anyway. Yes, every month. And right now you find out from that number a quarter late. Your buyer set it on a call 3 months before it showed up in your pipeline. But nobody could be on every call. And that was the only thing stopping you. Now somebody can. If you're not recording calls yet, phone, Zoom, in the field, how do you know your reps are selling exactly as you want them to? So let me ask you a question. The 6 steps. You have everything you need. Go run them. And I meant it. You can run every one of them yourself starting tomorrow. Some of you will genuinely go do it and email me how it goes. But here's the honest part. The 6 steps are the listening, the rest, aiming your outreach at what buyers said, ramping the new rep on the play that's proven, knowing the market move before the number tells you, that only exists once the listening is run every week. So some of you just did the math in the chat and thought, I'm not going to get to this, not this quarter, maybe not ever. If that's you, you won't mind if I take 10 minutes to show you how we do it. If it's not, this is a great place to drop off, and I'm glad you came. So remember the one thing. Every decision that you make about your buyers is a guess, and they're telling you the answer every day on sales calls. Here's how we stop guessing. Every company runs on the same 3 things: who you go after, how you sell to them, and how you grow it without being in the room. All 3 on one input: what you believe about your buyers. Now, every call your team has is that input. If somebody listens and does something with it, we call all of it smart scaling. Attract the right buyers, convert them with the play that already wins, scale it. The enforcement loop is the middle piece on how you sell. So we always start on your calls for 2 reasons. One, it's where you feel it fastest. Inside 30 days, you see a number move, we count it before you've committed to anything bigger. 2, it's where everything else comes from. You can't aim your outreach or your quotes or your onboarding at what buyers say until somebody has listened to what they said. The 6 steps are how we get the key. Everything else is what we do with it. Right? I think my business is different. It is. And so that's where we start in a room with you. You have a sales method, we use yours. You don't have one written down, we bring ours. The method behind the $1.5 billion. Either way, the moves come from your own winning calls in your own buyer's words, not mine. Some of you just thought, so a robot is going to coach my sales team. No. AI reads the calls because nobody can read 300 by hand. A human decides what it means. That's me and my team. And nothing changes how your company sells without your signature. Every month, you see what we found, you see what the trends are, and what we'd change. You say yes or no. Give me a yes in the chat if that's how you'd want it. All right, so then it runs every week with your team, not instead of it. Remember, your number from the chat, the higher, that's the first thing that comes off your plate. We read all of them. Every call your team had last week, not the one somebody had time for, all of them. Every rep gets the next move for the next call word for word, and we check that call to see if they ran it. Every Monday, you get a brief. The one thing to coach this week, whatever last week's coaching stuck, the deals to watch. If you have a sales manager, the brief is theirs. They walk into Monday morning knowing more than anyone in the building about what's happening between your buyers and your company. And your reps, one sentence before the next call. That's the whole change on their end. Yes, there's more coaching and training, but we give them one specific sentence. Do this one thing in the next call to accomplish this umbrella of things. Right? It doesn't have an end date because your buyers don't stop changing. So here's the part we built this for. Once a month, what your buyer said goes back into 3 places. Into the playbook, what's changing in what they say, a competitor they started naming, an objection that wasn't there last quarter, the angle that stopped landing, and the one worth making. With the call as evidence. We come with the receipts on what happened, where it was in the call, and the exact quotes. It goes into who you go after and what you say to them. Your targeting and your outreach pointed by the words that actually win. In your buyer's words, refreshed every month. not the description of your customer that somebody wrote 2 years ago. And into how you grow. The new rep ramps on the play that's already proven. The standard holds when you're not in the room. That's all of it. Every call feeds all three. And it's monthly on purpose. A playbook rewritten every week on noise is a playbook your reps stop trusting. All right, so let's talk about this. Here's what this essentially does for you. First, right? The obstacle traditionally is nobody's been on every call. Well, we read everyone from call one, not a sampling of them. We are not guessing. Used to telling a rep doesn't change the next call. Every rep gets the next move for the next call. We check them all, right? So that's another piece of the puzzle. All right, and I see that my face is going to be in the front of this. So what are we going to do? See if we can move me around for a second so I can make it smaller for y'all. All right. So every rep gets the next move. So that's part of the jam. So here we go. Traditional obstacle. Your playbook was written once and nothing's checked it since. The moves that win your deals, written from your own calls, in your buyer's words, are yours to keep. So now we find out at a quarter end. Well, what happens in difference? On a Monday brief, every week, one thing to coach. Did last week's deal stick, right? And what are the deals that we need to watch? All right. Little help here. Here we go. All right. Right. What is it traditionally? The market moves and nobody sends a memo to you. Tariffs, COVID, all these things. They were happening in the market in your buyers' minds well before they were actually made available to you publicly. These are things that you'd love to know faster so you can adjust in front of your competitors. Your outreach was aimed at a buyer somebody described to you 2 years ago. Your sales team is still guessing. Your marketing team is still guessing, right? Who you go after and what you say to them pointed by the words that actually win, right? Refreshed every month. Can you imagine being no later than 30 days out of step with your buyer? Do you think that would get more meetings and close more deals? Last, every new step starts from zero, and the standard slips when you're not in the room. That used to be the problem. Nobody's there to watch it. Jimmy does what he wants. Well, now new hires ramp on the plays that are already proven, and the standard holds whether you're in the room or not. As you can see, this is pretty amazing because now we've been able to use technology to get to the point where we can actually help you make true and real impacts in your sales team and with your sales force. And so we're super fired up about this. So hold on one second as I got all messed up on my pressing of buttons. All right. All right, so here's something that nobody will say to you. And I want to be clear that this is, I've never heard somebody who's in the sales training consulting space be willing to make a guarantee that's this short. Well, or generally any guarantee. But here's the deal. Strategy is hard to count. Whether your reps run it is not. So here's the part we put a number on. We'll change how your reps sell in 30 days. We will show you effectively how you need to update your playbook to meet the modern times and how your modern buyer is moving, or we will give you your money back. And no matter what happens, you keep all the strategy documents that we get out of it. You keep all of the findings, and you keep the adjustments that you can make out of it. So it's interesting, and we feel strongly enough about it that we will actually put our money behind it. All right, so let me show you a Monday a month in. It's Monday morning. You haven't listened to a single sales call, and you open one email. Every call your team has had in the last week is in it, already read. It says one thing to coach this week, one, not a list, the exact move your reps are skipping, and the words to say at the Monday meeting to start the conversation. It says whether last week's coaching stuck, how much of the team ran it with the call quotes and prove it. And it says which deals went quiet. One of them hasn't moved in 3 weeks. Close it or call it. Your sales manager has the same email. They walk into the Monday meeting as the best informed person in the building. Every rep already has the next move for their next call. You didn't write it. You didn't chase it. Somebody checks that call, and next Monday, you'll know if it's stuck. End of the month, one more page. What your buyers are starting to say that they weren't saying a quarter ago. The one change to make to the playbook worth making with the quotes from your customers, you say yes or no, and nothing moves without you. And the outreach going on next month is written in the words your buyers used last month. The rep you hired in the spring is running the play that's proven, not whatever he happened to pick up. And that's the Monday. You don't have to wait until quarter end. All right, so here's the deal. I wanted to make sure that this is easy enough. Obviously, we absolutely love to talk to anyone who wants to talk to us. But let me tell you, I tried to put together a couple incentives that might help you decide that you want to talk seriously about how we might be able to help you through this process of doing some more smart scaling, et cetera, and figuring out where you are in your journey on this journey of sales growth. So I want to give you a couple incentives. One, we've built Ask RevHeat. It is built on $1.5 billion in sales success for your unlimited use for 30 days. It's built on it's an expert in the strategic sales process that we use in strategic selling that's been responsible for $1.5 billion. It is also something that has been trained on thousands of hours of executive coaching calls. You have business stuff going on and you're trying to figure out how that impacts your go-to-market. You want strategy discussions? Ask RevHeat will help you too. Two, everybody always says, okay, Ken, you said I don't need more leads, but I really want more leads. So we'll give you access to the RevHeat Directive. The RevHeat Directive is a specialized, customized messaging builder to get more meetings for your reps. And what that RevHeat Directive does is it actually takes your ideal client profile, takes the company of who you're targeting, takes their LinkedIn profile, goes and searches, and then generates a personalized set of messages that they can send via email, LinkedIn, or otherwise. Last, as we've talked about, right? Sales is a guessing game. And if there's anything I think that we were able to help potentially prove to you today, it's that the person running sales is generally just the best guesser. And what we want to do is try to figure out, hey, are you tired of guessing? Is it something where you want to look at that and you want to figure out what is it that I can do to actually help create a culture of success for my sales team? Less than 50% of sellers make quota, so that tells you something. But if you're serious about trying to figure out, hey, how do I get to the next level with our company and with our sales team? I would absolutely love for you to go ahead and book 30 minutes to talk. No sales pressure at all. This is 30 minutes that's meant just for you in a strategy call. You can send me a LinkedIn message. You can click below, because below in the LinkedIn Live, it shows my profile. The other thing that you can do if you'd like is go ahead and check out this QR code, which will take you to the scheduling for the link that you see below. So I really want to think about this from a perspective of like, there's probably 3 things that are going through your head right now. So let me say them, right? And one of them is, I already record every call, and good, you're ahead. A recorder tells you what happened. Nobody's job is to change what happens on the next call. Bring the recordings if you want, and I will show you exactly what the difference in the output is, and I will show you how we start to frame and improve your sales team's performance from day one, not to mention how we sharpen your entire company's go-to-market perspective over time. 2, my reps will push back. The last program died that way. Your reps get 1 sentence, training and coaching, and when they start to run the play, which by the way, they get to get coached in private because it's coaching directly to them through their portal, they're more open to it. Right? And these moves all come from, they start with either yours or ours or a combination of the best calls, but they will start to see the moves and they will start to see how those deals improve. Right? 3rd, my business is different. It is. Right? And 30 minutes tells us tells us both. And if we can't help, I'll say so on the call. I'd rather do that than sell you something that doesn't fit. The link's on the screen, QR code, book it now. Sorry, we ran a little bit longer than I thought we would. Definitely drop comments and questions, please. Won't be able to get to those questions today or right now, but I'll definitely come back, answer them, or reach out to you via LinkedIn InMail. But this is a great opportunity. I'm super excited about it. We have gotten in a place where we are absolutely able to contribute to the entire go-to-market and do it by harnessing the experience and the new advances in what we've seen from a standpoint of Salesforce. So book 30 minutes, hit the QR code. That's what I'm talking about. Bring a deal you lost if you want. Links on the screen. Ken Lundeen, and we'll see you later.